Hello again and welcome back to our course on PSE 15. By now you should know quite a bit about Photoshop Elements 15, and we're going to return to a subject which we looked at very early on in the course and which is really going to depend on many of the things that you have learnt. And that is the subject of projects and making artifacts such as slideshows, photo books, collages, etc. from your images and from your other creations. In PSE 15 there are quite a few projects, quite a few different things that you can create. You can create things in the organizer, you can create them in the editor, and in many cases you'll do some of the work in the organizer and some in the editor. In this section, what I'm going to do is to show you some general things about projects and creating these various artifacts. And then I'm going to go through a couple of detailed examples in the following sections. So we're going to make a photo book, and then we're going to make a different slideshow with a lot more detail and a lot more control over what's happening. And then after that, I'm going to set you exercise 12, which is your chance to work through a whole project on your own. One thing I need to point out here is that we're primarily concerned in the next 2 or 3 sections with creating artifacts. It may be that having created a slideshow or a photo book or a collage, you may want to print it, or you may want to publish it, you may want to share it. We've covered many aspects of printing, publishing and sharing elsewhere in the course. So I'm really going to concentrate here on making things rather than looking further at sharing, printing, publishing, etc. Another important point is that as your use of PSE extends and your familiarity with projects increases, you will adopt your own way of doing things. And it's a good idea to look at videos, other training and learning sources on PSE, as well as the PDF file, the help and so on, to get different ideas or approaches to these projects. The first thing we're going to do here is to make a collage. And if you look at the Create menu in the Organizer, one of the options is Photo Collage. What's happened here is that straight away I've been taken into the editor and the Photo Collage dialog has opened up. In the panel on the left where it says Sizes, one of the options is Print Locally. It may well be, depending on the services that are available in your locale, that there are other collage options other than Print Locally. Where I live, that's the only one. I then have a choice of sizes for the collage, and with each size I only have one theme. Again, depending on the facilities you have, the sizes you have, you may have more than one theme, but I only have one. It's the basic theme. There's a preview of the collage on the right. These images are not my images. These are general ones that are used to illustrate what a collage looks like. But there's a checkbox in the bottom left hand corner there, autofill with selected images. If I had selected some images in the collage before I started the creation, then having that checked means that they would have been auto-filled into my collage. That's not a problem. I could cancel this, go back and make a selection, but it really doesn't matter that I didn't make the selection before I started because I can add the images now. So I'm going to leave that checked. I'm going to click on OK and we'll see what happens. Now the first thing is that if you haven't used a particular theme or artifact creation template before, it will need to be downloaded from Adobe, so that may take a little bit of time. It's now completed that download and it's basically saying to me, here is your collage. What you need to do is to drag some photos onto here. And at the moment in the editor I don't have any. So what I need to do is to arrange some photos. Look down at the photo bin and you can see that in the photo bin my project is shown. But of course I can look not just at what's in the photo bin, but I can look at other options available to me. Show files selected in Organizer. Well, there are none selected at the moment. That's why none were carried over when I started the creation of the collage. But I do have an option here of choosing any of the albums that I have created. And let's just use Stanley BS9472 at the moment and see what happens. And I could make my collage just from these 7 images. So, for instance, I could take the first one, drag it, and drop it in one of the frames. Take another one, take another one, drag it and drop it, and fill all of the frames in the collage with these images. That's what I'm going to do now. Now note that as I'm doing this, I have the option to undo any that I want to change my mind about. And if you right click on any one of the images in the collage, you have a number of options such as rotate 90 degrees right, for example. So that particular image could be rotated in its frame. And then other options include fit frame to photo, replace the photo, clear the photo, so let's take that photo out, clear the frame, remove the frame. Each of these photos has a thin little frame around it. And then you can also choose which of the photos in the collage are at the front, which are at the back. So you've got bring to front, bring forward, send backwards, send to back, and so on. So you've got quite a lot of tools there to change the arrangement and overall appearance of the collage. When you've finished working on the collage, you click on Save, and it's saved as a PSE file. And the name I've given it is steamcarcollage.pse. That's saved, and then I can close it. When you've done that save, exactly what's saved depends on the artifact. And in the case of a collage, you actually have 2 things that are saved. You have the project file, the PSE file, which basically keeps track of how the whole thing's put together. But also, in the case of a collage, it makes a PSD file. So the end result, the end collage, is in fact a Photoshop drawing file. So let's just open up again, click on Open, go back into Course Files. You see we have in a subfolder of the Course Files folder, we have Steamcar Collage. That's the PSD file. Let me open that up. So that's the end result, the thing that I've made. And if I click on Layers, you can see the layers that comprise that collage. As you can see, it's a pretty complex set of layers. But with what you know about layers now, hopefully there are no surprises. So you've got masks, individual images, some of which go off the edge of the page and so on. So that's the PSD file, that's the Photoshop format file that is the actual output of this project. But if I close that again and go up to the Course Files folder, in the Course Files folder there is actually a Steamcar Collage PSE file. And if I open that again, I could do more work on this collage. So I could carry on, I could perhaps replace some photos and so on. Now, as I say, this does depend on the particular artifact, the particular project you're working on, what you get. But it is important to be aware, in the case of collage, for example, that the PSE file, the project file, is the one you open if you want to do more work on the project, whereas the PSD file is the file that the project produces. Having created a collage here, in the next section we're going to create a photo book, so please join me for that.